Hey, well, welcome to the Dream Labs at Dr. Contrast Live. It's good to have a little time spent today on some programming work. And I think just before we begin here, a really interesting last two sessions I thought were very intriguing to me and I hope helpful to you about the magic of line weight. And I think some of the things we spent time with a week ago on just introducing what line weight is and how it begins to function and what its real personality is was one aspect of it. Then we put it in the second program of last Tuesday of just putting some product together, going through the things, for example, product design, transportation design, and just objectivity, for example, how to emphasize what those line weights begin to do, and then using color as a process with it. I think that what really was the most important part to me in both of those streams was the twofold principle that we have to work with. Number one, the magic of light sources function is to really simplify and accelerate what we see in our mind's eye. It gives us some boldness and some solidity. Things closest to us, we really hit hard, and as they move away in space, we just kind of lighten them up and let them fade away. The other thing we really mentioned too, when you get into media, for example, light source, line weight really has an awful lot to do with how to utilize media as well. It can also be the same process, really hit the surfaces that you see closest to us, a lot of color, a lot of texture, as again it moves away, let it fade into reflected light at the back of the surface or the rear of the sketch or whatever you're dealing with. So as a twofold purpose, and I think that was a really interesting set of circumstances. So based on that little concept there of getting the magic of light line weight in, I thought we'd just take a moment here. Hey, Shadowkin, how you doing, doctor? To subscribe. Hey, thanks very much, Shadow. Good to have you on board. Interesting little concept here today. So based on that whole concept, the conversation we had in the last two streams on the magic of line weight, I'm going to go a little further today and kind of take a right-hand turn and into the whole concept of getting into interior space, some sketch rendering, just basic tools thereof. And I'm going to start with a little sketch here, and then I brought some work along to look at, so we can kind of accentuate how to begin to work with this process of dealing with the sketch rendering skills for interior space, and then move it into things to come in future streams. So let me just start. This is what when I get into an interior space study, for example, if a client comes along and says we need to have a concept study or an ideation sketch of what we see in our minds for the vision for our office or our lobby or whatever it might be. I always like I think in terms of doing a little pictograph studies, a little storyboarding pieces. So I'm going to start with a little thumbnail sketch here to show how that operates and go through the process of horizon line, edges and surfaces coming at us, and how we fade back into space, how to take the viewer back into space, all those little elements that make a good thumbnail sketch or a really interesting study going. So here we go. I always start with a good horizon line. Let's lay that in there, make sure we have that set up. Let's do a little pencil sketch here. Horizon line to get it started. Then we'll come back in and pick up an edge here, and then drive out of that with just a nice little baseline here. Come across here and drive it across as well with this, just coming through it. Get this all set up, and we're going to go back in and pick up this backside wall here, drive it through, and just run into it here, and then let that become part of the process. Let's take this through here. Let's bring this through off of that AP. And while I'm at it here, I'm going to give myself a frame line to work with. I'm going to stay hopefully right inside these confines if I can here, just there, and maybe about right in there. And I might exceed that just a little bit here and there, but there's my little storyboard study right here as far as getting that process put together. That's the frame I'm going to work with here. And then, as I said, what I typically do is start with a little thumbnail sketch like this, then come right in and just begin to utilize that space to its advantage. So there's my perimeter, so to speak. Let's come back in and begin to build in this thing. Let's go back into here. Let's put a little bit of a dramatic overhang piece here, a little curvilinear piece. That comes in, curves into this wall, comes in and breaks right down to there. Take that point through real lightly. Notice we've always said in streams gone by, it's always good to work in terms of to keep it light till it's right. Just move that out of there. There's a little bit of a storyboard on top. There's a little theme in the corner to work with there. Let's come back in. Let's open this up. And right back to the VP. Run that through. Vanishing point again. Let's run that through. And again, this little offset here. Let's take that right through the VP. Keep it nice and light. Let's step this back in through here. There's my perimeter there. And there it is there. This comes in, stops at that station, comes right back through, and then right back to vanishing point. So there we are. That kind of sets it up. Let's move this back into a hallway of some sort. Let's kind of break this up. There it is there. So there's a basic architecture. I'm just kind of setting in, getting the mood set in terms of what the space is going to do. Notice I'm driving the viewer right back in here. Now I'm going to start picking up on things like line weight and how to push the view into the picture plane, and it kind of fades as we go back here. So let's kind of add some more information here. Let's kind of get this up to speed. Let's get this back. Let's take this through. Let's add a little bit of a balcony system here. That's kind of neat. Let's take this on through here. Double tier it. Then again, tier it again. Right back to VP. And again, it's just kind of a pancake layer here. That goes there. There. This comes underneath. There's my, in this section here. And it goes in and fades. Let's pick this up a little bit here. I'm just going to drive that through. Just change this, the character of the space dramatically here. Let's open this up. And again, pick up a balcony here. So that's doing that. You know, how simple that is, but at the same time, those fundamental laws begin to work in harmony when you put together the horizon line, which is still active here. I'm going to come back out here. Let's just take this off this corner. Take that through. Let's take this off here and just create a nice little circle, curvilinear piece. Let's bring another one in place here. And again, another one. Just change the character here as we go. And yet another one. So that's a little, maybe a carpet change or a tile pattern change of some sort. Let's drive this viewer. Take this guy right back in into that hallway. Let's stop that about right there. Let's take this guy right through. Take that right through. And just start to put a little bit of tone in here to tell me where we are. There's an overhang here. There's roof, in the floor, wall, intersection. Now let's start to really play this thing up, really line weight this thing up. There it is, faded away. Let's bring this up to speed here, exceed that just a bit. And bring those into play. Thick, and into a thin. Same thing here. Let's take this on through. And again, this one, and that wall right there, just that corner. And again, this guy right here. Let's turn this upside down. There's a little line thrust on this thing. Thick, thin, drive me back in. Same with this. And again with this. Now let's just see what the definition of it. So I put a lot more depth into this space to have some real character, some real shell to it now. Just gonna get this guy in place. Let's begin to put a little bit of definition in here now. Let's see through that, it's glass. Through that hallway. Let's cast a shadow across that surface from that overhang. Let's break this up a bit. Draw it right through as a transparent piece. And there it is. That might be another balcony area here that's all glass, another promenade up on top. All of a sudden, look at this system starting to come together here as far as creating this space, as we want to take you right back into this whole idea again. Going back, this is, even though it's an interior space study, a lot more in terms of working with some of the processing here. Let's get this in. Let's do this. 1, 2. Let's drive that back. Let's drive that back. Just changing again the format here. Upper. And again, just kind of tint that just a bit so we know it's stepping back just a touch. Let's put a bit of body in this thing here. Real loose little thumbnail sketch. I rotate here. And as I come back into this thing, this is my vanishing point. I'm not lost at. Let's take this right on in. This is now ceiling here into a sidewall. And there it is. Let's go dark, the light. Let's take the viewer in here. A little lighting. A little bit of signage here. Let's come forward just a little bit here with a little bit of drive line. Put one there. Put one there. Look how that form is starting to come together now in terms of putting all the pieces in the right place and getting some characterization of what this shape is looking like and what the character of this form is, where the interior space is. So let's go back in here, put a little bit of this in here, put a little bit of depth, and a little bit of lower piece. Let's kind of split that a bit. Again, add more lighting. A bit of reflection in the glass there. A little bit of a tint in here. So it's transparency, just a real subtle drop in here. Now let's kind of put this in place here. Kind of soften it off just a bit. A little bit of foliage in the foreground to give a little bit of character to it. And something behind it, kind of obliterate a bit of that. So let's put one over here. A softened sculpture here to kind of give this a little bit more character. Let's got that in place here. Again, this is an exercise in putting together a real quick little thumbnail, any device on how to draw circles or rounded surface in perspective. Yeah, I'm going to put that together here in a couple of minutes here, Michael. It's going to be a good shadow, very good. It's a little fundamental science here, but you're going to get to it here. And I'll show you in just a second how this begins to function. Now let's do this. Let's going to put a little bit of action in this thing here. Let's put some people back in place. Give a little bit of sense of scale. Before we do that, let's put a little bit of a softening off here as an intro into the room. A little bit of shrubbery. Soften that off just a touch. Let's put a little bit of shadow in this guy here. That's that. Let's kind of knock this back just a bit. A bit of a texture change here. Let it fade. Bit of signage back there. There's a little bit of entertainment. What the process might be. And again, look at that thumbnail coming together in terms of really kind of utilizing the whole idea of horizon line down. And notice a lot of thick and thin lines, a lot of line weight changes here to kind of give us a sense of depth in this whole process. A bit of carpeting change here, a bit of texture up on top here to kind of put a little bit of distinction of where the floor surface is and run that through very quickly. More of a lead. More of a lead. Yeah, let's take this right off the page. Give a little more drama to it. So it keeps coming along here. Let's see, there's some signage on this thing here. And then this one, element 1, element 2. And again, just to put some scale into this thing. Indication of what we're looking at as far as size or scale is concerned. That's that. A couple of people backing through here as well. Just kind of change up a little bit of the tempo, and that gives you some idea where we are here with this whole concept of putting it all together. And again, this is a bit of a variation in theme here from where we were on Tuesday this week, where it was much more line weight related to different objects. But I thought we'd switch gears and go to interior space and show you how this begins to function in terms of, again, all the weights are still the same. A quick little thumbnail sketch here. And as I said earlier when I started the stream here, this is how I begin to put together pieces. When I get a job to do, for example, in interior space or a consignment piece, I really begin to do little thumbnail sketches like this to get an idea of what the format is, what the character is going to be. Hey, DMG87, how you doing, man? Is that pen or pencil? This is a pencil sketch, so Demetrius on interior space. A real quick little ballpoint, just a typical lead pencil like this. And what I'm trying to demonstrate here today, Demetrius, for everybody's benefit, is just, again, continuation a little bit of the line weight studies we're talking about, but it's switching gears and going to interior space and going through the process of how that begins to really also envelop this whole concept of thick and thin and line weight studies. But it's more of a technical approach here to interior space stuff because it's extremely sensitive, but nonetheless a lot of fun to work with. So let's just carry on here. We get this wrapped up, and we'll move on to some of the more interesting things I've shown you here in terms of sketch. Let's go back and get this guy. Let's find out where that center is right here. Let's kind of split that ceiling up a bit and put some lighting in there. And there it is. It kind of gives you some idea, again, of just a simple little quick thumbnail sketch of how it all begins to come together. Changing the pace. Notice a little bit of a collapse into 1-2 point, what I call a converted 1-2, like an altered 1-2 perspective. Put a little more drama into it. Nothing's really parallel to itself. It has a little bit of a shift and a change of pace in it, and it makes a huge difference. So I started there, and then what I thought I'd do from that, this is how I process, for example. So not oftentimes I'll work with a pencil, sometimes it's a pen, sometimes a real fine line Sharpie. Just quick sketches like this to get started and kind of find out what's going on in terms of what the shape is doing, what the interior space requirements are, and put together a really good fast thumbnail sketch on all the pieces coming together. So let me switch gears for a moment here. And I brought some samples along about carrying on with this whole idea, again, of just a real simple process of good interior space sketching process and how it begins to function, along with not only understanding what the shapes are doing, what the drama or the character of the space is like, but also working with line weight, as a really good quick sketch tool. Again, thick and thin, really that balance of impact is absolutely paramount. No matter what the subject matter is, I utilize it all the time. It's just been a really great process to deal with. And it's efficient. It's very quick and efficient. You're not outlining everything. You're really hammering home what you want to sell. So let me switch gears here and show you. This is something I brought along a series of sketches here to show you that same thing in practice. These were done some time ago, working for a group here called the Urban Interior Space Group. They came to me with a process in terms of putting together a lobby space and a first and second floor entry level, which is this exterior entering in the building. And again, I just want to walk you through some really fast pencil sketches here, how this whole program came together. Once again, the emphasis, everything up front here, very heavy and handed, and a lot of line weight change, a lot of thick and thin as it moved back into space. Really kind of delicate with it, just kept it all very linear and more light-handed than it was heavy-handed. The feature of this whole lobby was this millennial staircase, so they wanted to really emphasize that piece. And off to the right here was a coffee shop and a little gathering area. And down here, this whole hallway here, off to the left here in the image, was the driveway exit to come back into the parking garage up in the third and fourth floor. So let me walk you through these guys. This is sketch number one. Same character, maybe a bit of a different theme, looking at different entryways, but again, the same impact of processors. So I get those down a little closer so I can see them a little bit better. Let's see, how's that? Is that better? There we are. Let's kind of drop these in a little bit. So there's the second one looking at it, a little bit of ceiling graphic involved in it as well, but again, the same principle, getting from the ground level what this space is going to look like when you walk into it. Again, the retail space down below, entryway. Pardon me, sorry about that. Entryway, again, a little column here with an elevator shaft, pardon me. And then also, this is a millennial staircase again that we kind of work with. And over here is that lobby space, our parking space. This is all retail here for a little bit. But off to the left again was this entryway into the garage. Parking spaces. So again, another variation on theme. I go through a whole variety of these things working with clients. I'm not one to just do one or two sketches. I give a lot of information and put a lot of effort into putting together the character that might fit the bill here. So these are quick little pencil sketches, but once again, notice how the weight changes really begin to emphasize what I'm trying to sell, what we should be selling. Everything up front, as you go back into it, it kind of just fades away. So there's a second little study here. So here, put them aside, pardon me for reaching across. Now that's what to do with a ballpoint pen, like a Sharpie, and just do some really quick little fast thumbnail vignette studies of not showing the front of the building, but actually the inside space, the interior space, as you walk inside this thing now, just bring a little bit of character to it. Out here, obviously, is roadway, and as you walk back in, little thumbnail sketches on what this guy looks like as far as, these are really fast sketches. I'd say probably no more than maybe 5 to 8 minutes per study, just looking at variations on theme. And again, notice that same character is there, thick and thin lines, really begin, and it gives you a sense of depth. So another variation here, and move along. Another little study, a little bit of the exterior again, going back into the space, a little more color to it. But again, very quick, explosive studies. And again, I think, I'm sort of being redundant here, but again, notice how line weight really begins to set the stage and moves you back into the space. This again, it shows you where the elevator or the staircase is, that millennial staircase is here. And also a little bit of the elevator shaft and some of the retail spaces around it. And again, a little bit of ceiling graphic, just not quite enough yet. We'll get into a little bit later, show you some of the sketches that were done for that. So is this making sense so far, Demetrius? Helping at all? And this whole idea of going from a lot of variation in theme with the magic of line weight we did the last two sessions and moving into interior space. Nothing changes. It's still that same concept. No matter what you're working on, no matter what the subject matter is, I always like to really work with this whole concept of thick and thin line or line weight shifts. The magic of it all is terrific. So there we are with that guy. We'll just move along here, not to bore you to death. Another little pencil sketch, a very quick little theme, little study here, moving more inside the actual shape itself, right down that sidewall here. Again, the staircase, elevator shaft, a kiosk of some sort for information, and then again over here, some of the retail space that we were working with and putting into play. That was part of the package in the architectural drawings that they were building with. So I went back in again and did some really quick little blue pencil sketches, looking at both the exterior and then the interior. This is outside the building with a little bit of signage, and then walking back in very faintly trying to put some of the interior pieces in. And then this is a little bit of a detail as you walk into the space, so what the middle of the staircase looks like, the elevator shaft, and again, all the retail space off to the right. So a lot of time invested in working back and forth with these individuals at the Urban Group some time ago to get this thing put together. So there's that. Again, just a simple Prismacolor pencil sketch in black and white. Again, a little bit of the exterior piece here as you walk in and see from across the street what it might look like in the entryway. And then the upper sketch just shows you where you're actually coming into the place. Notice a little bit of the exterior, staircase, kiosk area, elevator, and again, retail, and some seating areas and lounges back there to work with. So again, just a lot of variations, a lot of thought process behind what we need to look at here to get this thing to kind of sing for us. Another little variation again, again, a little bit of the signage out front of the building. This is more of a theme of kind of shifting it just a little bit to show you what the actual, really, drama of this space is all about. It's very wide, very low profile. This is the ground floor, by the way, obviously. And again, same as the staircase is the feature. This is the garage entrance I was referring to earlier. This area here, you come across and in through here and up into the second, or probably third or fourth floor to park the machine. So again, just a lot of sketches in terms of putting together what are they looking for, what's the character they're after, and then getting some good resolve, and then going like to phase one, get the information, go back with the second pass, information, third pass, and then resolving it. And then last but not least, a little ballpoint pen sketches. This is almost pretty close to what the final looked like in terms of putting together the interior of the lobby space. A lot more expanse off to the right-hand side, but they wanted to focus in more of the staircase with column path going into retail, the elevator shaft here, and again, retail here, and as you go through this hallway around to the right, a lot more retail space as well. So that's another little approach, one little thing here. So that took care of the first floor. Just at the entry-level area, and pardon me as I stack these guys up here, thank you. Then we kind of shifted gears. So once that was resolved a little bit, we kind of shifted gears and went into the second level where the actual lobby was of this space that they're building, this high tower. This I think it was about a 30-story tower. Once you come through the staircase, this was the second level with a big glass atrium back here. One of the things that I thought was really interesting about this concept here that the individuals wanted to pursue was this. That behind this glass area here, they wanted to put this like an herbarium of some sort, trees, flowers, and planting and so forth, so that when people come up, it was on just a black face wall. It had some character, personality to it. So you'll see some of the sketches a little bit later on that we can highlight that and get that to come across. But again, this is the elevator shaft coming up, and down this hallway here is where the elevators were. Or pardon me, right back into this is the elevator shaft. So you come up through the stairs and turn right around and right in the elevator area here, up to your room in the hotel area here. So this is the first sketch, and then looking at the second floor study. Once we got up the millennial staircase, so let's move that out of the way. There's another little study, and notice too. Let me go back to this. Pardon me. What began to happen here in that second story, once the floor plan was set, it's a very large, expansive area. This family of sketches really begin to look at the details for ceiling in addition to some of the back wall areas here that we talked about earlier. So that's ceiling graphic. And in phase number 2, that comes up, there's another variation of floating planes for how to see certain things into the ceiling in the second floor lobby area. Third sketch here, just variations on theme, large lighting pieces, large flat floating panels to kind of give it a sense of lower ceiling, even though the ceilings I think were 20 feet, huge. So nonetheless, that's another variation on theme, a little quick sketch. Then we come across here, and another variation going more horizontal with it, kind of carry the form and the shape through, and that was it. That's part of it as well. Again, really fast theme studies once that initial format of the floor area was set. The gathering space here, meeting area here, stairwell, again, elevator area, and then this area back here, we'll show you, you'll see in a few future sketches what that might look like back in there. Another variation, like a skylight of some sort coming through, or also glass panel, colored glass, or stained glass that go up on top of that ceiling area. And again, some lighting systems off to this the roof panel, or roof changes, ceiling changes as a result of those concept sketches. And then last but not least, this is probably the last, I think these sketches go into that what I was referring to now. Now there's still a little bit of ceiling graphics to be dealt with, but again, this is a lot more linear. And again, you can start to see what's happening back here with this whole large area back here was this herbarium we wanted to put back up in that area, so it wasn't just a blank wall. So this little thumbnail study kind of highlighted that, in addition to some of the breakup of carpet and hard space of wood and the staircase and railing around it and so forth. So that was another variation. Here's a couple little really fast, really pulling back on the overview here. This is what was taking place. This little detail here is what was taking place back here in this herbarium wall. Hey, Captain Nemo, how are you, Doctor? Good to have you on board. How you been? Super. Captain Nemo, Tier 1 to describe for 20. Oh, wow. Thank you very much, Captain Nemo. Really exciting to have you on board, and thank you so much for joining us today. How have you been? Doing good? I don't know if you had a chance over the last couple of sessions, Captain Nemo, to look at some of the, yeah, it's good. Yeah, good to be busy. It keeps us young. But I think I just want to highlight over the last few streams, I've been doing things like getting into some line weight studies in the matter of tank and the replant. What'd you think of the tank study? You know, did it meet with your approval? Hopefully. Cool. If it did, that'd be great. So based on that tank study, we came out of it. Yeah, thank you very much. I came out of it out of that tank study with some line weight, the magic of line weight, and I'm kind of coming back in today with a series of interior sketches that kind of highlight the same thing. The first session stream I put together was just the personality of the magic of line weight, how it works and what its function is. And the second one we did was more of delineation of how to work with it in different product cycles, from product to architecture, exterior, and transportation design, how thick and thin begins to work with the magic of putting together the awesome character of a personality of a sketch. This is more of a continuation. I didn't spend a lot of time on last Tuesday with interior space, so I thought I'd take some time today with not only interior space architecture and the process thereof. I don't know if you saw the first sketch I did, but I just laid this out here very quickly as a matter of process. I always like to think in terms of when I work with an interior group or an architectural group, I do a whole series of sketches like this. These are what I call little storyboards on what the personality of the space is going to look like, how to put all the pieces together. And again, just highlighting again the importance of getting the horizon line down and those thick and thins, and give you a sense of drawing right back into the space. So there it is. That's where I started here, Nemo, and hopefully you'll get a chance to review it if you go through the whole process sometime later today. This sketch was, again, a highlight of what this whole back wall was doing. That whole back wall was a big, huge, three-tiered plant herbarium, a little bit of perspective. So you walk in, you can walk through it, and the plants and trees of some sort. And this is an elevation study here, what that might look like. This is that wall is here, and this is that area. And behind that was the transportation area up into the parking garages. So that was another feature that we wanted in that second floor lobby area once you came through the first floor. There's another little study here showing the highlight again, a little bit more ceiling graphic up on top here. Again, coming up to the staircase, and then that plant area back here, and a gathering space in the actual space itself. A lot of glass, a lot of really high ceilings, and a very effective approach here. 20-foot ceilings at the minimum, so a lot of work to deal with there. Thumbnail studies, one after the other. There's another little study here that shows, again, that same herbarium back in here. Again, the elevator shaft. And again, this walkway through, it's a gathering space area here, retail, and then into the space itself. And then this hallway here is where the actual elevators were located to kind of take you up into your floor area here. This is about a 30-story building, so a lot of detail. These are the interior pieces. I also have some exterior sketches I will show you at some point in time later on that we did. A very complicated building, so that's going to be maybe a future stream. But right now, I just want to show you the title is Interior Sketching Process, and I think that really is highlighted by, again, this thick and thin drama, getting a good perspective down. As I showed you, for example, in the very first in the introduction, how that sketch starts and what to build on, what to look for from a little pictograph of some sort, how to build that story in each one of your studies. There's the last one we did here. Notice a real big vaulted ceiling that came out around the actual form itself. This is more of a detail back in that planted area here. You come back, there's a doorway into it, and it's 3 tiers. You'd walk through it and come back out again. This is a little bit of a detailed study of what the seating area might look like. Again, this is just kind of closing in the almost cinema. Yeah, you're very much like, that's exactly what that's like. Nemo, absolutely correct. Almost tiered, but it was all herbarium. It was really dramatic too. You come up that millennial stairway and look right at that thing. That could be really dramatic. So that was one of the ground rules that they wanted to stress in this piece of architecture being built in the city on the riverfront. Next study here, let's go through it again. Same process again. A little bit of a change of pace coming up, a little bit rounder here, and then again into that atrium area. A lot more focus in terms of where the gathering space is. You had another variation on theme, so that's that one. Now little ballpoint pen sketches. You know, a little further now with this, and now we kind of switched around a little bit and looking at it from different perspectives and different points of view here. So this is a big overview sketch, coming back a little bit and show you a little bit more of the space itself. Here's the staircase coming up, the elevator area, again, the herbarium, and again, the tone area, the beige areas are intended to be like a wood grain or wood floor, then carpet spots around it to kind of complement a little bit. A little bit of a detail here showing the actual seating area as we go through it. And then again, that herbarium area back here, the very large wall of this planting systems that we were working with there. And then let's move along here. Another little variation on the sketch, a little bit more of a dramatic view about coming up a little bit on the I-plane or theater. Yeah, that's interesting. You're right, Nemo. Again, notice again, just kind of shifting gears a little bit and coming up a little bit higher. This one is a little more of a normal eye level. This guy is, and this is a bit more normal. But then I came back and said, let's move it up a little bit and kind of look at the overall view. And then really open this thing up a little bit, put more drama to it. Again, retail wall, retail here, and again, the elevator shaft coming up. Then this is the elevator to the other floors. The retail space here, gathering space here, and again, the herbarium area. But really opened it all up. It was really helpful to kind of go through the process here to kind of settle this in. And let's go back in here. Now, there's a final little study, well, not a final little study, but another variation on theme there about putting it all together. Again, staircase, seating area, retail. And now notice this one has a little bit less of that planted area back here behind it. We want to pull back a little bit. Some of the sketches we're getting, I guess, a cost variation on that other herbarium would be absolutely phenomenal. So we kind of pull back a little bit more into hallway here. Again, elevator shaft here, and a little bit of a message board. And again, let's move along here. Another little study here. That was it. This guy came along here, and again, just a bit of a shift, showing more of the retail space and some more of the soft areas here for gathering space in the process. And then also, it was just a good exercise in putting all this whole idea together and what light is doing and what the ceilings are doing. And it was a bit of a normal approach. And this ended up, for what it's worth, maybe at some future time, some of the sketches, once they're released to me, I can show you the final sketch that showed that illustrated the ceiling and all these pieces put together. It was completely different. It was very organic, a very bold lighting system. So it was a lot of fun to see it change from one process and one meeting to another, and how the whole thing began to develop into a very interesting set of circumstances. So there we are there. And then last but not least is a little variation again, last little sketch of putting it all together. Again, back to this herbarium, a little less of it back in just one row. And again, same situation, more column now to support the load. Those are added as necessary in the building structure itself. So that's part of the process here. And that's the last sketch we did on that. This is the whole second floor family. When I started, it was first and second floor series. So it was very interesting in terms of putting that together. So let me just lead you across here, pardon me. This is where it all started. If you miss a few there, Nemo. From the outside, the exterior of the building itself. Let me just go through these very quickly here for you. It all started from the outside going in. This is the first floor, street level, going into the actual space itself. There was sketch 1. Same variation, sketch 2. And what I want to emphasize here was the actual, pardon me, let's drop this down. The actual area we're dealing with here, thick and thin, a lot of thick and a lot of thins that went back into space here. Exterior view, this is the second sketch. A little bit of a color study, just kind of switching gears to the ballpoint pen and put a little more drama to it, kind of knocking out the front face of the glass or the actual approach to the building, and then showing a little bit more of the detail of the interior space of that first floor, which is a millennial staircase, entryway to driveway, retail space, coffee shop, and some of the variations and themes in that first floor. And then I think, and that was the last one here, this is more of a little bit more of a fine-tuned approach to maybe the exterior. The sidewalk looks like this, has a little bit of tile change to it, and into a very opposing diamond here with a little bit of logo in the middle of it, which eventually was added. And then again, receptionist area here, comfort area, and then again, the retail space off to one side. So there we are there, and I think the last little study here kind of is a little bit of a pencil sketch, just kind of drop this in a little bit and change the pace just a touch from there, and that's what it went to. So that was pretty kind of cool. And so that was right. And then again, I'll just show you the last couple of sketches here, then I'll switch gears to exterior, interior. Same process, really fast little theme sketches. And the whole theme today is to focus in on what it takes to do a really good, wholesome architectural interior sketch. In other words, pieces and parts coming together to form a real good unison in telling your story, being accurate, very vibrant, and extremely explosive at the same time, and informative. So there's another little pencil sketches here. Again, outside, interior, changing pace. Let's go back in again here, and I'll just finish with this next family here. Another little variation in black and white here, exterior piece, and then showing the expanse of the inside of this thing, which is massive. So there it is. And then last but not least, I think we're just about home here. Yeah, this is the last this is pretty close to the initial theme once we moved inside the building. This will be a little bit exterior here. Retail space, it still came a little bit further forward on the picture plane itself, but then the staircase, the hallway, and retail behind it. So that basically summed it up. Let me reach across here. And for those of you that have some curiosity about how this whole thing processes here, let me just do this. I started with this sketch to show you the process and how it all unfolds. I think another good way to do this, and let me just kind of wrap it up with doing this. What's that process look like? Let's give ourselves a little bit of frame advice here. Let's do this. A little window. I'm going to lay down a horizon line. I'll pick a point of reference. And I'll come back in here and just begin to open this up. And in that area, I might just come outside that frame of reference and just put in some sort of theme here. And again, pick a point of reference here. High vaulted ceiling. Bit of glass. Structure. Structure. And behind all this, so I'm just building as I go here and begin to just put these pieces together. Let's put a bit of softness in this thing, a bit of a soft scape. Let's start there. Let's add this one. And real quick, and as I said earlier in the stream too, when I start a process, for example, an architectural exterior interior, I do a whole lot of these little thumbnail sketches and begin to feed them to the client at the appropriate time. And it's really neat to watch their reaction. Oh, that's neat. Oh, that's interesting. Can you change this? And it becomes interactive, which I think is really critical. So let's do this. I'm going to come back in here and add another dimension. Let's take the viewer back inside this space. Really open this thing up. And again, let's take them back again. Look how by just adding a few lines, you're just changing the entire the drama or impact of that form itself. Let's come back in through here.
Yeah, sometimes I feel foggy,
I'll be a lid here. Sorry for the silence. Gotta keep cranking here. And there you go. That little thumbnail sketch. There she is. What do you think there, guys? Again, real simple process of taking that whole idea. I mean, look at the difference. It's one of the, let's put them side by side here. Not that they're great sketches, because they're not. They're just, again, as I said, really good, quick thumbnail sketches on how we begin to think in terms of space and how it begins to function. So what do you think here, guys? Any commentary at all? Nemo, Demetrius? Shadow, if you're still with us here, again, I just wanted to end it just to take a moment here to kind of display what's really taking place with this whole line weight process. We started last Tuesday and again Thursday today. Probably last Thursday and then again this past Tuesday and then again today to wrap it all up with some good interior sketching process. How it begins to function with again with line weight, space, how to really telegraph the drama, the shape, and the forms we're dealing with. How it all begins to work together. Very interesting set of circumstances, here, guys. So, anybody, any comment at all? Please let me know. Has this been helpful? Let me just shift this over a little bit so we can see what we're after. And there you are. There. What do you think, there, guys? Coming together, all right? Where's location? It's just a thumbnail sketch. It's just an ideation study or. Demetrius, no location. It's just a conceptual study. I just kind of sat down and said, what if we did a space that looked like this, and then this, or either one locations. You've heard of the location of the other study we did. Very nice. Yeah, thank you. And there's really no location here. These are just, these two studies started with this one, ended with this one to show you what the process begins to involve and putting together some interior concept sketches. I'll be doing more of this in time to come here as we go through the process, but I just thought it was interesting today, going to pull it all back a little bit and show you what happens in interior space. So Captain Nemo, you still there? Any comment from you at all? They've been helpful here, hopefully. It's so good to have you on board, Demetrius. Doug, hey, Doug, hey, how are you, doctor? You're healed. All right, man, looking good. Doug, you get a chance to see the whole thing here as I made a mess on paper? But again, really rapid sketches, and I think the thrust of today's stream was to not to wrap it up, but to kind of reinforce the value of the magic of line weight, and specifically in interior sketch rendering process. Nothing changes. It's the whole idea of how you develop those. Yeah, how you begin to put it all together. You develop. You're right, Captain Nemo. The whole thing is developmental. It's work a little bit here, work a little bit there, around obstacles. Just a really interesting how to kind of move it around here. I just draw right through that stuff. But I think the real key here is interior sketching is extremely, it's not difficult. It requires a little bit of more of an advanced planning. But I think one of the things that's sort of saved me over the years, let me just show you real quickly, wrapping up the stream here. One of the things that I've noticed over the years that's been really helpful, instead of doing what I refer to as a typical 1-point perspective or 2-point, everything remains parallel in 1 point. I've always felt that really the neatest things about doing an interior space study is this. Pick a point of reference, open it up, and then open it up. And then those are your drive lines. Pick a point of reference. Now, instead of it coming back parallel, open it up. And again, open it up. Now I'll come back and pick a point of reference here. Drop parallel to it. Parallel to it. Much more dramatic. It says a lot of, now you can actually change the format here. Look at this. By coming out of this thing, find the perspective center. This is where the wall is here. And back to this. And vanishing point, there's my VP. Run right through it. There's the actual middle of that shape itself. I can now start to do this, which now gives me this, which comes forward on this. I can start to change the character of the shape really quickly as a result of understanding where all my forms are here. I go back to this. I can come down the line here with maybe an opening here, start there, take that corner out of place here, come back to VP, back to, there it is. Open this up a bit, catch a little bit of that corner. It's now vaulted. So now I can open this up a bit. I can put lighting here, lighting there, and lighting there. I can break the walls up. I can add form. I've got a system there to work with. It just really becomes a really vital part of it. Notice how we built that sketch based on A, good fundamentals of perspective, B, the understanding of line weight and how that begins to function, and C, the melody of thick and thin and darks and lights. And again, I've always said this, and pardon me for being redundant, but it's so true. Always think in terms of darkest darks next to lightest lights. So you look at any one of these sketches, these ones I just cranked out here a moment or so ago, look at the difference between one against the other. Dark to light, dark to light, dark to light. I mean, the whole pattern, everything all the way through this thing, dark to light, dark. I mean, it's a consistent pattern. And that is, again, what I really want to close with is the reason I brought that whole concept up about dark and light and darkest darks next to lightest lights. Again, that's the magic of line weight. You put a thick down against a thin, and then all that tempo change really gives your sketches, gives your sketches a tremendous amount of personality. What do you think, Doug? You still with me? Hope you're doing well. The way you do it, no, it's not. It's very nice, Demetrius, but it's not simple. You're thinking all the time. You guys go through it. Captain Nemo does it. You've done it. Doug Ritt has. We all think in terms of advancing the cause, and I think it's what I've learned to do over the years is always think about 10 steps ahead. In fact, I'll say this, and I hope it's not a confusing element here. Whenever I do any sketch, it's major or minor, I always look at it this way. I always think that the end is already done. I'm just working toward it. Already seen what the images is. I know what I'm after. Does it mean it's finalized? No. It means I've seen an image, a vision, and I begin to attack it. The end is already done, and I'm just working toward it. And throughout the process, if it changes, I change. I mean, I adjust accordingly. So that's what makes it so easy. I think understanding how things work is so interesting. The perspective is always the most important part of it, Doug. You're absolutely right. And Nemo, you as well. That's the whole concept of some of these goofball sketches I started with. For example, there's a good example. Again, this is what I'm referring to. Notice, look at the difference here. Here's that altered 1-2, and altered 1-2, and again the altered 1-2. We actually twisted the picture plane just a bit. Michelangelo taking into away stone until you reveal the body. That's exactly right. It's a great line in one of his treatises, Captain Nemo, that Pope Julius X once approached Michelangelo and asked him, "How do you do this, Master Michelangelo? How do you do this?" His great comment and answer was this: one chip at a time. So that was really neat. So that's what we're doing here with these sketches, one chip at a time, one line upon line, precept upon precept. You build this case, you build a case, and it strengthens the whole concept here. I'll go back to what Doug was saying earlier about perspective. I want you to notice again that the drama of an altered 1-2, which these are, kind of twist the picture plane just a bit. You notice the difference between that drama, that one, and then notice how this, working with a client now, you get a little bit of that. I did some later on, but notice how they're all parallel, much more traditional 1 point. So does that mean that I cheat all the time? Yeah, I do. I confess I cheat all the time. But when it's necessary to come back to normalcy and begin to work with that as a system. So thank you so much, gang, for tuning in today. I hope this has been helpful to you. It's a bit of a different tempo, really interesting piece. And interior space to me has always been a great study to work with. Let me just move these around so we get them in place here. Always fun to work with in terms of putting these pieces together. And again, today was a continuation of what the magic of line weight is all about in a discipline that I think is extremely powerful, and that is called interior space. I hope it's been helpful to you. I started with a process sketch, a little thumbnail study, then went into some practical things we've done in the past. Really interesting stuff. Doug, thank you so much. Good to see you, Douglas. I'm glad all is well. Captain Nemo, sure, great. I always like internal architecture. Next time, hey, that's a good idea. Starship bridges would be really cool. Let's do that, Nemo. That's a great theme. Starship bridges. I've got some concept work on bridges that were really cool. I also thought about maybe during Tuesday getting into some vocabulary platform forums for interdictive fighters or something of that nature. Go back to Star Citizen stuff. Anyway, gang, thank you so much. It's been real fun today. And again, I hope you've enjoyed this. Phase 1 about a week ago. Last week was introducing us to the magic of line weight, what its personality is. Phase 2 was putting in the application. And the third one is getting more about application to a very complicated science as an interior space or interior concept sketches. And I'll close with this. Always remember, this the most important part of this last 3 streams is this. The purpose of and the magic of line weight is to do 2 things. It accentuates and accelerates our ideas. It simplifies it. Things closest to us, we hit them and give them a lot of characters. They move away, just let them fade. Second thing it does for us, when you add media to it, it gives you a blueprint where to place the emphasis with media. If there's enough marker, just enough pastel, just enough watercolor, let the rest fade. It simplifies the entire process. And while I'm at it, it's very unique in this. I've noticed over the years, by doing that process, by employing that process, it magnifies and puts tremendous power in your work. There's a lot of ethereal systems in it. People, is this what you, yeah, that's exactly right. Is that what, yeah, that's exactly right. You have control of the entire process. I think is extremely powerful. So again, a good friend of mine, Sid Mead, one of the comments he made about this whole line weight thing was this: hey guys, I think I used this on Tuesday about a week ago. Hey guys, you want to see reality? When I was in my sophomore drawing class with Sid Mead, I said, hey gentlemen, you want to see reality? Yeah, we always see reality. He said, that'll be great. Comment came back, said, didn't hesitate, said, great, go buy a camera. Think about that for a moment. Go buy a camera. If you want to see reality, buy a camera. However, if you want to be creative, put personality into it, put substance into it, put your soul into it. That can't be done by a camera. That's you. And I think that's the great thing about putting these programs that I've enjoyed and working with the guys like you, Nemo, Doug, Demetrius, people who tune in. Really grateful for the fact that you take the time to join me here. And it's a whole idea of teaching ourselves. Yeah, you can steal that one too, Nemo. I've never forgotten one over the years. That Sid Mead was a genius at that. If you want to be reality, see reality, buy a camera. That's static. What we're dealing with here is motion. It's emotion, it's character, it's personality, which is a whole new ball game. That's the depth of your soul coming out on paper. It's fluid. It tells a story. It's you. So thanks so much, gang, for tuning in here. We'll hope to see you on Tuesday of next week, and I hope you have a tremendous holiday over the next few days. And once again, so appreciative of all of you guys coming on board here today. It's been a lot of fun for me too. It's nice to go back into some refresher courses. I'm always practicing. I'm getting better at it. There is artistic freedom after all. Little by little, from my point of view, guys, every time I go through this stuff on stream or else do my work day to day, I'm always learning. I've got a lot to learn yet. I ain't got it made by any means at all. So thanks to you for being on board here today. Great audience to deal with, and thank you for the interaction. It's good to have your commentary come back and forth to me. It's inspiring. Gives me some clues as to what to attack and how to answer certain things and how to address certain things. Really refreshing. So, but else, last but not least, always never forget to remember to dare to be great, because you are. Have a great holiday, gang. We'll see you next Tuesday, and take care of yourself. Thanks very much.